Okay, which one?
ये वाली two great martyrs and
Yeah.
the one before that.
Okay, so you need me to move on to the next one?
I don't know if there are any more stories in this book. उसको देख लें अगर है कुछ और.
Okay,
हाँ
there
ये वाली
is.
पहले.
जी.
ठीक है तो yeah you can do that और आपको पता है ना half an hour is for stories and the remaining half an hour is for tartil and so on Quran के related.
Yes, but what's the how they do the tartil part? Can you tell
T-
me?
Tartil they do it from you can do it from any portion of the Holy Quran कोई भी सूरा लेके तो उसके क्या proper pronunciation है या you can discuss the surah in general too if you want कि what is it about और इसमें अल्लाह ताला ने क्या फरमाया है. It can be either or जैसे आपको सही लगे.
Okay, do you have any idea which from which part in the beginning or in the end they which have covered which surahs?
Personally, I don't know. In Ramzan, there were some specific surahs that were specified, but apart from that, I'm not sure what Murabbi Sahib was doing for this class previously with the Holy Quran, Tartil, and so on.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so I'll be here if you need anything. I'm here to help.
No problem.
Jazakallah, Murabbi Sahib.
Oh, Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, everyone. So the topic
So
which we will
today,
be covering today is the topic which we have in front of us. The topic is the girl with swollen eyes. So just to remind everyone that it was promised about the one who will be coming to save the Islam that he will have different kind of qualities. And as he was compared to Jesus والسلام, he was used to said that he would have similar qualities to Jesus والسلام, as well. So one of his quality was that he cured the ill people. If we see the similar kind of things in the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, we find that the Holy Prophet ﷺ showed similar kind of actions or showed similar kind of things that he cured the people without any proper medicine just by praying and by giving some by just saying that okay do this and you will be cured. So we find a lot of incidents in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and in also the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. So one of the question which comes into the mind of people, especially when you are this young, that how these things can happen, because science says that if a person cannot if a person doesn't take any medicine, he will not be cured. He had to take a medicine or he had to go through a process he had to take the surgery or he had to do the surgery on that part which is not good. For example, there is an incident of Hazrat Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, in which his eyes was hurting. And the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him or put just his saliva, a bit saliva from his mouth, and he put on his eyes, and he said, "You will be cured." So how this can happen? So I will shed some light on this topic, that how these things can happen and how can you say this with confidence to others that okay, Islam is a religion which says that if you have enough faith, you can show the other people, you can show them that okay, this is what Allah Almighty have given to me. So the very first thing which we need to understand is that either we take any type of medicine or we do any experiment or we do any surgery on any part of anybody, of any human or non-human, animals or humans, anyone. If we do that, you will find one thing, that the cure is not possible if Allah Almighty doesn't will. We also find a lot of cases in which people were able to get the medicine, they have all the facilities, they have each and everything available for them, but they, even though they were taking the medicines, they were not accepted by their immune system, by their inner system. So we need to keep this thing in mind, that whatever or from how we get healed, it is because of the grace or because the allowance of Allah Almighty, that Allah Almighty wants us to be cured, and that's why we get cured. So there's another thing into this, that was sometimes people suffer a lot because of their illness. So it doesn't mean that Allah Almighty is not happy with them. It means that maybe Allah Almighty is testing their patience, or maybe Allah Almighty is giving them the chance, or maybe Allah Almighty is improving their status by facing those difficulties in this world. We find in the lifetime when the Holy Prophet ﷺ was about to die, he suffered illness as well. Similar thing was with the Prophet ﷺ. And even other prophets, they have seen all those things. So what happens is that Allah Almighty, in one way, Allah Almighty tells them that, okay, this is your time, and now your time in this world is come to an end. And also the second thing is that Allah Almighty improves the status of those persons. But if we are suffering for the sake of Allah Almighty, it means that we will be getting more reward from Allah Almighty for that. So just keep these things in mind. And whenever you hear about these stories, the main thing which we want to convey to you by telling all these stories is that you should produce a love for God in your heart. If that is produced, then I can assure you that even if you are ill, if you pray for somebody else who is ill, you will find that there will be improvement, and you will find that your prayers are being accepted. Why are those things, why are your prayers being accepted? Because Allah Almighty is getting closer to you, or you are getting closer to Allah Almighty. So when there's a bond between Allah and his servants and the human beings, then you will find that that bond will give you so much that you cannot imagine. If you need anything from Allah Almighty, you can pray to him. So that is a bond which is necessary. So the back thing by which the Holy Prophet ﷺ was able to cure the people, Jesus ﷺ was able to cure the people, Prophet ﷺ was able to cure the people, was this, that they had a strong bond with Allah Almighty. And as Allah Almighty, one of the name of Allah Almighty is the healer also. So he gives a part of that attribute to his people as well. So by that, they even do the slight thing and the patient will be cured. So keep this thing in your mind. Now we will move on to our story which we have today. Okay. So it is said that Jesus ﷺ used to cure the sick, the blind, and the lepers with the touch of his hands. In fact, blessing a person with breath or with the touch of finger accompanied by prayer is a kind of treatment which holy and righteous persons use to demonstrate the power of prayer. Many instances of this kind are found in the life of the Holy Prophet ﷺ. For instance, at a time where no other treatment was available, he placed his hand on the ailing eye of the devoted and dear companion, and it was immediately cured. Another occasion, when water was badly needed, he put his fingers into the container, and his blessed touch caused the small quantity of water to suffice for a large number of people. Hazrat Ahmad والسلام, also performed similar miracles. He once helped a small girl whose eyes were so badly swollen that no treatment was effective. He touched her eyes with his fingers and prayed. She was soon completely cured. Amatullah Bibi was only a child when she migrated from Kabul with her father and uncle to Qadian, the hometown of Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wassalam. In fact, they were forced to leave the country after the martyrdom of Sahibzada Sayyid Abdul Latif radiallahu ta'ala anhu, as life was made impossible for Ahmadi Muslims in that land. This poor girl had serious trouble with her eyes. Both eyes were so red and swollen that she couldn't even open them properly. Her parents tried many different treatments, but to no effect. Her conditions continued to worsen. One day, she was only 10 years old, she decided to go to Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam's house to ask for his blessing and help. With tears in her eyes, she begged Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam to bless her painful eyes with his heavenly breath. Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam looked at eyes with his heavenly breath. Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam looked at her swollen eyes, took a little saliva from his mouth and applied it to her eyes, whistled, praying solemnly and silently for her recovery. Then he placed his hand on her head affectionately and said, "Dear girl, go home now. By the grace of God, you will recover soon." God accepted his prayers, and Amatul Bibi did recover very soon afterwards. She lived for more than 60 years after this incident, but never had any trouble with her eyes again. So this was a small story which were given to you, which was told to you by, uh, which has been told to you today. So the moral of the story, or the moral of the thing, is I have already told you that why we do this and what is the main reason behind it. The main reason behind is that we need to make a relationship with Allah Almighty. So if we get that, you will find in your life as well, if your prayers started getting accepted, you will find that you will excel in your righteousness, you will excel in each and everything which you do. So these are the questions. I don't know what's how you guys do it, but to remember.
Assalamu alaikum, Rabbi Sab.
Hey,
Sorry,
what?
I'm the moderator. So what happens is the Atfal raise their hands in the chat. So like if you read the question, like number one, what was the name of the child cured by Hazrat Ahmad al-Islam? The Atfal raise their hands in the participation field, and then I unmute them selectively. So then I'll let you know which Atfal is unmuted and then who's about to speak.
Okay. There's another thing I see in question and answer, two of them. What's that?
Those Murabi Sahab, those are some other questions that Asfal may ask. So you can address those like at the end of the class, or
Okay.
if you want now, or it's up to you.
Okay, we can do it at the end, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, so the first question in this story is what was the name of the child cured by Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wassalam?
So Rabbi Sahib, the first person that raised their hand is Intisar Khan Sahib.
Okay. Ji, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
The child's name is Amtul Bibi.
Okay, Jazakumullah, very good. The second question is where did the child and her father come from?
So the next person, Rabbi Sahib, is Safir Mirza Sahib.
Okay, Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Safir Sahib. Assalamu alaikum.
For some reason, Rabbi Sahib, I guess it's not unmuting for him. There is actually no other person who's raised their hand.
Okay. So it means that you.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Can I answer the question, please?
Yes.
Yeah, they came from Kabul, Kabul, Afghanistan.
Yes. Jazakallah. So you already given the answer for the third question. Why did they leave their country?
So the next person, Rabbi Sahib, is Hamza Zahid Sahib.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Hamza bhai.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So they left their country because of the martyrdom of Hazrat Latif Razitalan anhu,
Sahibzada Abdul
Sahibzada Abdul Latif
Shaheed Rizlan. Okay.
Shaheed.
Very good. Okay, the last question. How did Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salatu wasalam cure the child?
So the next person, Rabbi Sahib, is Danial Khan Sahib.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, so Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam cured the girl because he took a bit of his saliva out of his mouth and put it on the girl's eye and prayed silently to Allah Mia and told the girl to go home, and the next day she was healed.
Okay, Jazakumullah, very good. Now I have one more question about this. What is the moral of the story?
So the next person, Rabbi Sahib, so Intisar Khan has raised his hand again, so we can go back to him.
Okay, Jeen sir.
Assalamualaikum.
Ji wa alaikum assalam.
So I guess the moral of the story is like if you have a good relationship with God, then like it doesn't really matter about what anyone else says, but it matters more importantly on like what if you pray to God and ask him for help, because it says in the story that she asked for like help from all the doctors and stuff, and like asked for medicine, but it didn't work. But then she went to the Prophet Islam and he cured her. So it's proof
Okay.
that that like there's also like proof of existence of God in that.
Jazakumullah, very good. Anyone else who want to give the answer of this question?
So Rabbi Sahib, Safir Mirza has raised his hand again, so I'm going to ask him to unmute.
Okay, Ji Safir.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name's not Safir Mirza.
Oh, that's what's coming on the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Could you introduce yourself then?
Oh, sure. I'm Masroor Ahmed. I don't know why I'm saying Safir Mirza.
It's okay.
There's someone else named that. Anyway, the moral was it? That's
Yeah, the
question?
moral. Yeah.
Okay. I believe the moral of the story is even when scientists believe that there's no God or anything like that, you can always prove them wrong with with stories like this, and how nothing's more important than the relationship with Allah. And yeah.
Ji, Jazakallah. So I just want to tell one thing about your point, that when you go out and you tell the people that these are the stories which we heard and people have saw these things happening. So one of the main thing which they say that, okay, that is the story of a past. Can you tell me anything about today or anything which you have experienced? So, in this regard, it is very important that you should pray and you should have at least one or two proofs of your own if you want to convince the other that I have experienced these things by myself and I found out that the stories are real and they are true. So, for gaining that experience, you need to get a strong relationship. You need to build a strong relationship. Okay, so moving on to our second part of the class, I think we are almost there. I would go back over here. Okay, so this is the one of those chapters or those surahs of the Holy Quran, which are, although seems they are very small, but the topic which has been told in these verses is equivalent to 1/4 of the topic which we have been told into the Holy Quran. It is not what I'm saying. It is that what as a Khalifatul Masih Sani radiallahu ta'ala anhu has said. So why he has said that, there should be a valid and a good reason that he is saying this. So he has explained his words that whenever there is a religion, there are some basic fundamentals of it. And the basic fundamental of the religion of Islam is that oneness of Allah Almighty. And all the other parts or other things which we do or which we perform as a Muslim are standing on this only thing. The reason why we have differences with the Christians is this, that they think that there are three gods, not one. And similarly to the other people, they believe that there are more than one God. They have made idols to whom they worship, and they say that there are more than one God. But Islam says that there is only one true God. So how Islam has said, this is one of the verses or the surah or the chapter of the Holy Quran in which Allah Almighty has explained each and everything. And also Allah Almighty have given the answer to the Christians that what Allah Almighty really is. If we go on to the second verse, which is Kul huwallahu ahad, that say he is the one, that Allah is the one. He is Allah, the one. So in saying this, Allah Almighty have removed all doubts from the hearts and minds of the Muslim that do not even think that there would be more than one God who are managing this world, who are managing this universe, who are managing each and everything which we see. So do not even think about it. And Allah Almighty has given his reasons that why I am one. That reasons which we find in the Holy Quran and the other parts of the Holy Quran as well, in the other chapters of the Holy Quran as well. The next verse is Allahus Samad. Allah, the independent and besought of all. These actually, each and every verse which we have in this chapter, in this surah, these are the answers, or these are the clarifications of the previous religions, or the previous things which has happened to other religions. In the first, Allah Almighty has said that He is one. So in that question, or in that statement, Allah Almighty have told each and every other person in this universe who believes that there is more than one God, or there can be associate of God, or there can be different parts, or there can be different people who are managing His work. Allah Almighty has said that no, I am the one. In the second part, Allah Almighty has told that I am the one who doesn't need any help of others. If I want to do something, I will say it to happen and it will start happening. That is the mighty power which Allah Almighty have. That is the power which Allah Almighty is saying that if I want to do something, I will do it. I don't need anyone else to do that for me. If I want to forgive someone, I can forgive someone. I don't need to sacrifice someone else to forgive the people. So this is what Allah Almighty have said. Now moving on to the fourth verse, which is Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad, that He begets not, nor is He begotten. That is what Christianity says, that Allah have a son who is Jesus. But in this verse, Allah Almighty have said that there is no one who has been begotten, or who He begets, the two which has been produced by, or which has been made as a son. There is no son of Allah Almighty. Because if there is if we consider a son, then we will find that Allah Almighty do have some needs of His own, as any other person, or any person in this world have their needs. Similarly, Allah Almighty will have their needs if we accept that Allah Almighty have a son. But Allah Almighty clearly said in this verse that I don't have any son, or nor I have any father. Okay, so I just simplified the meanings of which is written over here. So this is what Allah Almighty have meant. Then the last verse is وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, and there is none like unto Him. And there is no one else in this world, or even whatever you consider the end, there will be no one else who will come like me, or who will be like me. So this is what Allah Almighty has said, that I am the only one. Now moving on to some of the mistakes which people made in reciting this surah. They first of all, we need to see that which are the Arabs, or which are the signs, or which are the things which have came. If we have basic knowledge about them, we will be able to pronounce the words correctly. So one of the mistakes which people does is this, that they prolong the words. So we shouldn't be doing that. if we do kul huwallah, so if we prolong kul and then each and every word, that would mean that there is one alif e with after each and every word. So that totally changes the what the original text is. So moving on to the next part, if you see over here we have tashdid. So tashdid means that we need to read that word with some, actually what tashdid is, it is equal to one sakin and one with haraka. So we have to pronounce two words, kul hu wallahu wallahu ahad. So this is how we should be pronouncing kul hu wallahu ahad. So this thing we should need to keep in our mind whenever we are reading. So similar over here, lam yalid. If you're gonna stop on dal, then you should be doing it with some power. That word should be coming out of that the sound of that word should be heavier or should be more pounded on than the other words. Then over here in the last words we have a noon with a sukoon. So in this scenario, what we need to do is that we're gonna combine the kaf with lam. We're gonna combine kaf with lam, as there is, we will leave this noon and we will pronounce it walam yakullahu kufuwan ahad. Okay, so this is how we should be pronouncing this. If any one of you want to recite it, you can do it. If moderator Sahib is allowing you, and if not,
sorry, Murabi Sahib, sorry, continue.
Yes, if not, then we can take the questions.
So we can do some recitation because there were some Atfal that wanted to do it. So the first Atfal, Murabi Sahib, and then after that we can do some questions. So the first person that wanted to do it is Faris Ahmed Mirza Sahib.
Okay, Faris, do you need me to show you the verses, or you can recite it?
For some reason, Murabi Sahib, it's not enabling me to allow him to talk.
Okay.
So I think I'll try to fix this issue, but then in the meantime, we'll, I guess, move on to someone else. So the next person is Intisar Khan Sahib.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakallah. Next, anyone?
So the next person, Murabi Sahib, is Naveed Rahman Sahib.
Ji, assalamu alaikum, Naveed Sahib.
Naveed Sahib, you're unmuted now. I don't think it's working for him, Rabbi Sahib, so we will move on to Zakaria Ahmed Sahib.
Ji, assalamu alaikum, Zakaria Sahib.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakallah. Next.
So Murabi Sahib, for the interest of time, actually no, we do have a lot of time. Sorry. So let's take 2 or 3 more people, Murabi Sahib, and then we'll do some questions. So the next person is Sajil Hussain Sahib.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakumullah ta'ala. Anyone else?
So Murabi Sahib, let's take 2 more people. So Masoor Sahib is the next person.
James Shur Sahib. I think you can move on to the next one if he's not able to do it.
Okay, yeah, so he's unmuted, but I think maybe his volume's not reaching us. So in the meantime, we'll move on, Murabi Sahib. So the other 2 people are Ahmed Naim Sahib. So I'm going to allow him to unmute him.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakumullah ta'ala. Now we will be moving on to the questions. The reason I opened this part is that if anyone wants to, he can read it from over here. What is the introduction of this surah?
So Murabi Sahib, do you want me to ask them to read it out loud, or are you saying to just read it in the mind?
Whatever you like, I don't mind anything.
I think we have a bit of time, so we could do it out loud.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to read it out loud, they can raise their hand. So the first person's Intisar Sahib again. So he could do the first paragraph, I guess.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Surah Al-Ikhlas introduction. That this is one of the earliest Meccan surahs in the view of Hassan, Ikrama, and above all Ibn Masud, one of the earliest of the Holy Prophet's companions. However, Ibn Abbas, though much younger than Abdullah bin Masud, but regarded as one of the most learned companions, thinks that this surah was revealed at Medina. In view of these conflicting opinions of the 2 very respected companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, commentators of the Holy Quran are inclined to think that the surah was revealed twice, first at Makkah and then at Medina. Among the Orientalists, Muir places it among the earliest Meccan surahs, while Noldik assigns it to the end of the first period, but the 4th year of
The 4th year of the call. Okay. Sorry, I think it cut off Intisar at the end. So the next person, Murabi Sahib, is Danyal Khan Sahib.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम दानी.
Walaikum salam. Okay. In view of the importance of its subject matter, the surah has come to be known by several names, of which some are At-Tafrid, At-Tajrid, At-Tahid, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Marifu, As-Samad, Al-Atat, Al-Nur, etc. Because it deals with the basic religious belief, unity of God, the surah has the distinction of being called by the Holy Prophet as the greatest of all the Quranic surahs. Aisha is reported to have said that before going to bed, the Holy Prophet used to recite this and the last two surahs at least thrice. The surah is entitled Ikhlas because its recitation and deliberation over its subject matter is calculated to foster in the reader a deep attachment to God.
Jazakumullah. Rabbi Sahib, the last paragraph. I'll ask Zakaria Ahmed Sahib to read it if he can. Rabbi Sahib, I don't think it's unmuting for him. So, is there anyone else who would like to read this? Rabbi Sahib Masroor Sahib would like to read this, the last paragraph.
Okay.
I think there's some issue going on with Rabbi Sahib because I'm not able to hear him. Are you able to hear him, Rabbi Sahib?
No.
Okay, because it's been going on for a few Atfal. So I'll let the admin know actually. Rabbi Sahib, I guess, would you be able to read this, I guess?
Okay, so the last part is what adds to the great importance of the surah is the fact that while Al-Fatiha is considered to be a resume of the whole of the Quran, the present surah, together with the two succeeding it, repeats and rehearses the theme of the subject matter of Al-Fatiha. So now I think we can move on to the questions.
Jazakallah Rabbi Sahib. So there are two questions from the Q&A, and then after that, if anyone has any live questions, they could either put it in the Q&A or they could raise their hand and ask it. But for the first question in the Q&A, Rabbi Sahib, is Assalamu alaikum. This is from Ahmed Naim Sahib. He says, Assalamu alaikum. My question was, do we have to say Ameen if we are reading namaz with Jamaat?
That depends that when you want to read or when you want to say Ameen. If the person is reciting the Surah Fatiha out loud, then you need to say Ameen. And also there are some parts of the Holy Quran when we do say or we do answer the questions which has been asked by Allah Almighty, the Holy Quran. But if there is prayer, then we also say Ameen at that time as well.
So the next Jazakallah Rabbi Sahib. So the next person is the next question is from Daniel Khan Sahib. He writes, do non-Ahmadis think that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is not a verse?
Yes, they do think that it is not a part of each and every surah. They don't consider it as a verse for each and every surah, but they do put it. They say that it has been put, so we do put it, but they don't consider it as a separate verse or as a verse of any of the surahs of the Holy Quran.
Jazakallah. So the next question is from Intisar Sahib. He says, when you're in Jannat, will you know what is happening to your family?
This question, the very first answer which comes that you will know when you will be there. And the second thing is this, that I don't have any came up to any hadith in which it says that you will know what is happening to your family or not. But they say that if there is a saint in the family, or if there is a person who is who has a good relationship with Allah Almighty, and if Allah Almighty accept his prayers, so he can ask for the forgiveness of others. But the matter of each and everything stays up to Allah Almighty. Either he wants to bring them to Jannah with you, or if he wants to punish them for their mistakes, or if he wants to forgive them. It depends on Allah Almighty, each and everything.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Sahib. So the next question is from again Intisar Khan Sahib. He adds to the first question, and will there be prayers in Jannat?
Yes, you can pray in Jannat, and you can ask for to Allah Almighty to increase you in your status. And we actually, there is a very there is a hadith in which there is an incident told about a human being, that how human being does. So a person was put into the hell for his punishment to what he have sinned. He has been put to hell, or the fire of the hell, for the punishment. So that person started praying to Allah Almighty that, oh Allah, I know that you are very forgiving. I have done all these things. Now I want you to just take me out of this fire. So Allah Almighty takes him out of the fire, and then he starts praying again that, oh Allah Almighty, you have taken me out of the fire, but I still can feel the heat of it. So just take me to the doors of this hell. And then the next prayer he prayed, he said that, okay, just take me out of this. So Allah Almighty, by his mercy, he took him out of the hell. And he said that, okay, now you have taken me out of the hell, so put me near to the doors of Jannah. So Allah Almighty puts him, and he keeps on going on, and he goes into the Jannah, and he gets a small place or small tree to live near that. Then he asks Allah Almighty that, okay, I need that as well, or give me this as well, or give me that as well. So he is getting each and everything from Allah Almighty, but he is not stopping on one point. He's kept saying that, okay, I have all these things, now I need more, now I need more. So this is the state of a human being, that what a person does. We can definitely be able to what we know from the hadith, that people will be praying to Allah Almighty, people will be asking Allah Almighty for more things. So yes, there will be prayers in Jannah as well.
So the next question, Rabbi Sahib, is from Daniel Khan Sahib. He says that he would like to ask his question live, so I'm going to ask him to unmute himself. I'm just going to. Oh, actually, he's no longer in the call, so I think he left. So let me move on. So the next question is, when you die, are you brought right away to Allah, or are you slowly taken?
So in this question, answer to this question is this, that whenever a person dies, his accounts are being dealt with. The decision about him is being told to him, that what will be happen to him. Okay, so that's how the things will happen. The people will not be waiting for the day of the resurrection, the last or the Qiyamah, and we would not be able to find those who have died hundreds and thousands of years ago, and they are still waiting for their accounts to be done.
Murabi Sahib, isn't it like they're in a state of barzakh but they're
Yes,
already
but their
judged?
decision have been made.
Okay, yeah.
In the state of barzakh, it means that either if they have to go into the hell, they will started feeling that environment, and if they will be going to the Jannah, they will be feeling uh, the environment of Jannah. One of the hadiths of the Holy Prophet ﷺ is this, that whenever a person goes into his into his grave, so the question answer starts at that time. And now we also know about this, that a lot of people doesn't have their graves. They don't even they if somebody is died in the sea, he will not be able to have a grave. So it means that as soon as we die, our question answer or whatever it will be decided about us will start at that time, and we will come to know what will be happening to us.
So Murabi Sahib, the next question is from Muiz Ahmed Sahib. He writes, are eating penguins halal?
Eating penguins, I don't think, if I don't have any answer to this question. We can ask someone, or if it's a sea animal, I don't think it's a sea animal. It lives on land and sea both. So I don't know if it's halal or haram. I will ask some elder and I will let you know.
Jazakallah. So one of the last questions, there's one live question, but the last question and the question and answer one is Eid given because it is a sunnah or some other thing, like a tradition?
It's more kind of a tradition, but the tradition came up because that was the sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that he used to give sweets and he used to give uh, he used to make other people happy. So Eid is as a gift which is given to the people, which is given to the children. It is not mandatory in Sunnah, or it is not anything which we should be doing. It is a tradition. It's a good tradition that on the day of enjoyment, on the day which Allah Almighty have given you to enjoy, which Allah Almighty have given you to celebrate, if you give gifts to one another, that's very good.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Sahib. So the last question, I think, for today, because we are running out of time, is Safir Ahmed Sahib is asking if you could clarify the third question from the story that you read today about Amtul Bibi Saiba.
What was the question? Third question?
I'm not exactly sure what he's asking what the third question of the story was.
Okay, I think the third question was why they left the country. So one of the reasons they left, that persecution was started at that time, and their lives were made As we know, it is the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that Allah Almighty tells us that we can do hijrah if we have been killed, or if we have faced the people who are not able to understand the message of Allah Almighty, and they kept on punishing you, they kept on beating you, then Allah Almighty have given us a way in which we can migrate from one country or to another, from one place to another, in order to that you will be able, or you will be safer to demonstrate or perform your religious activities. So the main quarrel with them was this, that they were not allowing them to accept the promised Messiah والسلام, as the prophet of Allah. And that's why they were beating them. They were they also killed some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ at that place. That is the reason we all, which most of us, not all, most of us who have came to the Western countries, who have left their, or our father or our grandparents have left their countries, is the same reason we came to, or we migrated to other parts, that we are allowed over here to perform our religious activities. We are allowed, or we are in peace by performing our religious activities, and over there we were not being allowed to perform. In Pakistan, if we see what they are doing with the people, the persecution has, the level of that persecution, or the level, the hatedom for the Ahmadis, for the believers of the Prophet ﷺ, has become so much intense, and they have no right over it to tell a person that, okay, this should be your religious belief, and this you can do and this you cannot do. So if they are doing it, and we have seen so many people who have given their lives for the sake of Ahmadiyyat, and many of us have gotten the chance to migrate from that place, so we migrated. This is why they migrated from Kabul, Afghanistan. Any other question?
Jazakallah, Murabi Sahib. I don't think there is any other question.
I think still have, okay, no, we are on almost 4.
I think it's 4:02.
Yes, okay. Jazakallah, we can continue these tomorrow as well, no problem.
Inshallah. Okay.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah, Murabi Sahib.
Jazakallah, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam.
So for the Atfal, I think there is a quiz at the end of this class. So I think if you end the call, it'll go to the quiz. So Jazakallah, and inshallah, until tomorrow's class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.